One more to go. What a game it was in the American Airlines Center to take Game 3 and beat the Dallas Mavericks 106-99. Still have yet to allow the Mavericks to pass that 100-point mark. It was up and down. I was pissed off. I was happy. There were so many emotions that happened in Game 3, and that is what the NBA Finals is about. On this post-game show, I do want to bring up Kristaps Porzingis injury news, the latest from Adrian Wojnarowski, the latest from Joe Mazzulla, which we heard from before the game. And on the back half of this show, myself, producer Smitty, are going to break down what we saw in Game 3 because there was some pretty, there was some ugly, but nonetheless, the Celtics have more points than the Mavericks to take a 3-0 lead, baby. Let's go ahead and jump into it. First things first, hit that sub button for me. When I tell you we gained over 1,000 subscribers during the Game 3 watch party, I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. The journey to 36K starts now. We need 520 subscribers to get there. Hit that sub button. Let's go ahead and jump into it. The latest on Kristaps Porzingis injury update is right here on Celtics Today by Chat Sports. It's unfortunate, man. It's really unfortunate. I thought when he was listed as questionable yesterday, there was this really big chance he could play, but ultimately, the medical staff deemed him not able to participate in Game 3. Here's what Tim Bontemps had to say about Kristaps Porzingis' injury. He said, Mazzulla said the medical team watched Porzingis go through some testing, and it was decided he wasn't good enough to play in this game. Mazzulla had said yesterday this decision would be up to the medical team and not Porzingis. And it's hard, man, because you see Porzingis each and every game. He comes down the tunnel looking fresh, and he has this smile on his face because he loves playing basketball. He said 3 days ago he'll die out there on that court, and you see him walk into this game, and he's upset because he can't play. He doesn't have the option to choose whether or not to play. That is up to the medical team. But now we have Mark here who also tweeted that same exact time as Tim Bontemps, saying, Joe Mazzulla says the Celtics told Porzingis that he wasn't playing tonight. He says the message was, KP, you are not playing. He didn't look right. And he didn't look right. It's not a stamp that he's out forever. It's not a stamp that he's not going to play in the NBA Finals, although it may be one more game here. But he didn't look right. It's still giving me at least a little bit of hope. Maybe I'm trying to be an optimist here that maybe he'll look right on Friday. But here's what Mazzulla had to say about monitoring Kristaps Porzingis in the future. He said during his pre-game press conference, we'll see how he is tomorrow and the next day. Once again, the literal definition of day to day. So that's the good news. Porzingis was ruled out for Game 3, not the NBA Finals. But we do have a really important message here from Adrian Wojnarowski. But let's hear from Joe Mazzulla here first about what he had to say on Kristaps Porzingis' injury. He said it was out of his hands. It was the medical team's decision. They watched him go through some testing, and they said it didn't feel right. So now you got Joe Mazzulla in here fully giving you the actual quote in his press conference. But then in the warm-ups on ESPN, Adrian Wojnarowski made this statement saying there is real doubt KP returns in the finals. I have seen so many reports out there from so many different doctors, NBA analysts about KP can play, KP can't play, KP's out for the season, KP is expected to play. It's a lot. It's very confusing. Who I do trust is Adrian Wojnarowski. I do trust Joe Mazzulla, and I do trust Kristaps Porzingis and the Boston Celtics medical staff. So if Woj is saying there's a real doubt KP returns in the finals, you do have Joe Mazzulla saying we're continuing to monitor him. Real doubt does not mean he is out. So you have to just be optimistic. But the good news is the Boston Celtics just proved they don't need Kristaps Porzingis to beat the Dallas Mavericks, just like they did in Game 3. Do you think Porzingis will play in Game 4? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Let me know in the comments section down below if you think Tingus Pingus will come back here in Game 4. While you guys are commenting that down below, we're going to get into our takeaways from the Game 3. But first and foremost, I want to make sure you guys look fresh as hell repping this Bill Walton t-shirt here on Fanatics. Right now, you can get it about $35. Go to chatsports.com/Walton shirt, and that's how you guys are going to be able to rep this beautiful tie-dye across the chest, really encapsulating who Bill Walton was as a person and a player. He left a legacy on Boston sports fans, man, especially with Father's Day coming around. I mean, they grew up. They watched Bill Walton growing up being a Celtics fan. So if you guys want to get him this t-shirt, I think it's classy. I think it's timeless. It's just a great tribute to a great man, a great player, and a great legacy to Boston. Go to chatsports.com right now /Walton shirt and pick yours up today. All right, let's talk about the Jays first and foremost. A 30-piece. A 30-piece from Brown and Tatum. And let me tell you, Brown with 6 points in the first half.
24
in the second half. Yep. He came alive, man. He came alive. Smitty, your takeaways, man.
I mean, we said it before the game. Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum probably had to combine for 30, or each had to put up 30 in this game for the Celtics to come out with a win, and they did just that. Jaylen Brown there in that second half kind of took over, kind of got whatever he wanted. His three-pointer fell. He was inefficient from beyond in the first half, but in the second half, I think he hit both of his makes, and he was just able to out-physical some of these Dallas defenders, especially Luka Doncic, who he ended up drawing the sixth foul on, which fouled Luka out. Jaylen Brown was instrumental when the Celtics were settling for contested jump shots and contested threes. Jaylen Brown brought them back to earth by taking it to the cup. I mean, he had this one tomahawk slam that he was staring inside the rim. He got up so high. So the effort level from both of these guys on both the offensive and the defensive ends of the floor, I love what I saw from the Jays. We're going to get a championship out of both of them.
I saw this stat on ESPN after the ball game. Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown are the first Celtics duo in history to have 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in an NBA playoff. So, I mean, that's just incredible, man. The duo has been dominant. Jayson Tatum, you could tell from the first quarter, this was his game. That was an X factor for me, was Tatum scoring. It also was an X factor for you, for the Dallas Mavericks, was Kyrie Irving scoring.
Yeah.
They both did have a much better game tonight in Game 3, and I'm excited for Game 4. Because you got to look at Kyrie Irving. He definitely found ways to get around Jrue Holiday this game. They also threw different bodies on Kyrie Irving as well. You saw Al Horford on him, Derek White, Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, a lot of Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser in the first half here. But Kyrie Irving, I mean, you got to look at his threes. He went 0 for 8 in the first 2 games, and now he shot 66%. We knew this was coming. But nonetheless, Jrue Holiday did a fantastic job. I know he had 35 points, but you locked him up for 2 out of the 3 games right now, and he still had 9 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Not his better game.
The thing about Holiday is, like, he's just always in the right spot at the right time. He's always trying to move the basketball. He's always trying to keep the offense moving, keep players moving without the basketball, and he's a big pioneer of that, always cutting to the rim and just moving around the perimeter when things get stagnant. I love what I saw at Holiday. It might not be the flashiest stat line, but he balled.
I'll tell you what, man, I loved Holiday, who was constantly avoiding the screens. He wasn't letting his man go. He didn't want anybody switching on Kyrie. Mm-hmm. He knew that was his guy, and he took the extra effort to make sure Washington and Lively could not set that screen up for him, and that's just good defense there, followed by his duo in the backcourt by Derek White. Yeah. 16 points. Look at the threes, man. He made just as many threes as Kyrie Irving did with 4, and they took a while to fall. He was 0 for 4 for the start of the ball game, but he found his rhythm, coming in here with 5 boards, 4, 6, 16 points. I mean, Derek White was also doing the dirty work on defense to help stop Luka and Kyrie, who for the longest time in this ball game, Smith, nearly refused to incorporate any third scorer into that mix. It was just Kyrie and Luka up until the fourth quarter when P.J. Washington got involved.
Yeah, let's talk about Luka real quick, because he put himself in a bad position there in the fourth quarter. You know, you mentioned it a lot of times during our live stream, is that Luka picks up his 5th foul. Eventually, the Dallas Mavericks get a timeout. I think everybody in that huddle is well aware Luka has 5 fouls. Next thing you know, he puts himself in a position to pick one up on Jaylen Brown
30
driving
seconds
downhill.
later.
What are you doing? You're only down 3. There's 4 minutes left in the game. I think you've got to leave the rest of your defense there to help and let Jaylen Brown get past you. You're too valuable to this team offensively to be putting yourself in harm's way like that and pick up your 6th foul.
That play came with 4 minutes and 12 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and that call was even challenged and not overturned. And that's what I'm saying, is that if you're going to pick up that foul 30 seconds after a timeout, which I'm sure if Jason Kidd is as good of a basketball coach as I think he is, he probably told Luka, don't foul.
No.
And what did he do? He fouled. He picked up his 6th. He wasn't happy about it, and they went 4 minutes without Luka. That's probably, honestly, the most he has sat in this ball game is 4 minutes.
Which, by the way, if you just look at Luka's stat line right now, we didn't think that we would be able to end a ball game with Luka having these numbers.
I thought there would be no game in the series that did not end in at least a double-double.
He does obviously miss the last 4 minutes, which he probably would have collected a couple more stats.
Fair.
But we did a good job on Luka in this basketball game. And one guy who didn't get switched on to him a ton, but when he did, he made it count. The X-Man, Xavier Tillman.
The son of a bitch.
The trade deadline pickup. Are you kidding me? Celtics don't win this game without Xavier Tillman.
Hey.
They don't.
+9.
Plus nine in how many minutes?
+9 in 11 minutes.
Unbelievable.
In 11 minutes.
Unbelievable.
I'll tell you what.
One of the best 3.4 rebound games you'll ever see. And you see that? Field goal 1 for 1, 3-point 1 for 1. Xavier Tillman hit a big-time three that
momentum shifter.
Rejuvenated the Celtics bench. I couldn't be happier with the minutes that Xavier Tillman gave us today in Kristaps Porzingis' absence.
I completely agree. You got to give credit here to the 38-year-old Dominican father of 5 stepping up big once more in Kristaps Porzingis' absence. I also know Al Horford. He had a fantastic game when it came to also locking up Luka Doncic. Took him a little bit of a slow start, but here's what I'm worried about, Smith. Here's what I'm worried about. 37 minutes from Horford, and you only have 1 day of rest. So it'll be interesting to see what Horford could do. But the good news is that he worked his ass off in Game 3. If he can play 45 more minutes in one ball game, he's an NBA champion.
Absolutely.
So I hope that 1 day of rest does come with a little bit of a prize at the end. If you're like, hey, man, I'm tired, but if I got to push for 38 more minutes, I get to raise banner 18. And hell, even for Al Horford, you win, you can retire. Just play your ass off for 38 more minutes.
I would love to see Al Horford back in the Celtics next year, but you're totally right. He could do that.
That's it. You can never play basketball again. Just one more game.
By the way, I haven't even really paid much attention to the score. Celtics held these guys under 100 points again.
You never listen to me, Smitty.
Under 100.
We are not as good of a duo as Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. You don't listen.
Well, not
to me.
many people are.
You don't listen to me. All right, like I said, yes, under 100 points here, but they also did beat them once again in the rebound category. So Smitty and I's key to victory here isn't playing out well because we kept saying the only way to beat the Mavericks here is to potentially out-rebound them, but with no Porzingis, Derek Lively showed up tonight in that rebounding category, and that is really what helped them go on this 10-0 run in the fourth quarter, which turned out to be okay for the Celtics, but it gave me a bit of a scare there.
Yeah, I mean, and let's not sit here and act like, look at these numbers. They're fairly similar. Mavericks shoot one less percent point from 3, but look at the difference in attempts and makes.
Yeah.
3-point variance, baby. We've been talking about it all series long. Mazzulla ball. You have to take more threes. You have to make more threes if you want to come out of this with a championship. And the Celtics did just that once again. I don't think it was an otherworldly three-point shooting game from the Celtics. It probably was up until they started settling for contested looks there in that fourth quarter where they led up the 20-2 run.
Yep.
So, you jack up a lot of threes. When you're good three-point shooters, you're probably going to make a couple. So
Absolutely.
I loved what I saw in that aspect of the game from Boston. They did it again.
Nonetheless, the job's not finished. We have been told by several Celtics fans in our comment section throughout the Game 3 stream, got to have Mamba mentality, man, got to be humble. Job's not finished. So I have a question for you guys. Do you think that...
We're not
saying you know what.
We're not using that word.
We're not saying you know what.
It's a you know what.
Technically... Do you think the Celtics can wrap this series up in 4? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm going to go home, drink some tea, let my voice rest, get ready for Game 4 on Friday. If you guys want as well, we're going to be live tomorrow at noon Eastern Time, answering your questions on a mailbag and giving our Game 4 preview. I've been saying Game 5 this whole time, I think. Game 4 preview. My goodness. All right. If you guys want, go ahead and hit that sub button for me. Join us on our journey to banner 18. One more to go.